What's going on, Washington fans? Take a deep breath, first off, because I don't know what I just saw. That was probably one of the craziest games I've seen in a long time. I'm Josh Taylor at Josh Taylor FB if you follow me on Twitter. Welcome to the Bleacher Report stream, here to talk about that crazy game. That was the biggest roller coaster of emotions I felt from as a fan since the Kirk Cousins "You like that game?" But we're going to have a crazy stream, guys, so welcome. The chat's already popping. That's right. We are 2-0 for the first time in 12 years? Which is crazy. It's 2 games. We can't win the first 2 games of the season. But first off, it went from the feeling of the game was over for the worst, and then it turned into, holy crap, this game is close. And then it went from us up and comfortable to, wow, the Broncos actually have a chance. And then the Hail Mary, the 2-point conversion. Shout out to Juice for breaking that up. I thought it was clean. Maybe it's a defensive pass interference. I don't know. But still, what an ending. Like, guys, that's, as a fan, that's as good as it gets. I almost went to that game in Denver. I'm kind of wishing I did. But nonetheless, got a lot to talk about. I'm going to talk about the winners and losers of this game today. I've got some things in the polls for y'all to give y'all input. And as always, hit up the chat. I'm going to talk to y'all all stream long. Be here for about 30 minutes or so. And I'll be back tomorrow doing some grades for this game. I'm going to go back, rewatch the game like I always do, and give some grades for this one. But I'm going to start it out. I'm going to bring up the screen, talk about some stats and stuff like that. But I'm going to drop the first poll for y'all. And that is, who is today's biggest winner of the game? And there's some good ones. We got Sam Howell, Brian Robinson, who had really his best game I can remember as a Washington Commander since he came back. Eric Bieniemy, who was cooking in the second half. And then the D-line, who Ron Payne started the party. And then Montez Sweat and Chase Young came later on in, and yet we all knew they were going to get that Hail Mary, says Navo in the chat. I felt like I did. Cody Barton was like right there in front of Russ, though. I thought it was enough to kind of, stop it from going to the end zone. But the tip drill, guys, like, batted down. I need to go back and look. It looked like it was Cam Curl. I don't know who else was trying to get an interception. But shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Let's go. We're 2-0. Like I said, first time in like 12 years. So it's a victory Monday, as y'all say in the chat. Hit up that polls. Give me your input. Let's bring in the screen. Let's see how everything finished up. And I want to say I'm kind of mad Sam Howell finished so close to that 300 burger. It was right there. First off, first half, he had 30 passing attempts, which is more than his entire projection was for the entire game. So I was like, holy crap, 30 passing attempts by Sam Howell in the first half. That's not ideal. But when you were down like you are, was it 21-3 to the Broncos? You're in Denver. You've got to throw the ball as much as possible. It wasn't until we got this, cut into the lead to where we could actually start running the ball again. That's right. Phil Lakers, DCC. What's up, Phil? Victor Monday's incoming. We're not used to this. We're not used to being on this side of a game. Like I said, when's the last comeback that we've had like that? It's got to be the Kirk Cousins game. As a Washington fan, when we were down 21-3, it just all falls apart at that point. Like, we throw turnover, like we throw interceptions, we fumble the ball, we have stupid plays. Yes, Cam Cheeseman masterclass. We're going to talk about him. He might be my biggest loser of the game. Like I said, hit up that poll. Let me know what you think. I'm going to come back to it. But Sam Howell, y'all. Sam Howell. Yes, I see it in the chat. Sam Howell, he's getting a lot. He's getting a lot of love, and he should. 27 for 39. This is pretty much our rookie. This is Sam. This is my guy. Y'all know I love Sam. 299. So close at 300 against a really good Broncos defense, by the way. A Vance Joseph-led defense. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's big. 4 sacks. I still don't like 4 sacks. They were probably all in the first half, though. But last week he had, 6? So it's gotten better. I'm going to talk about the offensive line. Don't worry. But Sam Howell is absolutely a winner of today's game. Why? Because he was asked to do a lot. The pass rush was there for the Broncos in the first half. Randy Gregory, who I didn't even know was still on a team, I haven't seen him since the Cowboys. I'm surprised that Sam Howell, and that's one thing I love about him, that poise where he's able to bounce back, whether, he has a big play, some kind of penalty negates it. He was getting hit early and often, and he just stands strong in the pocket and delivers dimes. That throw to John Bates on that right sideline, and then, of course, that throw to Terry freaking McLaurin. Those are 2 big boy throws. Those are throws we have not seen from a quarterback here in a long time. And I'm sorry to say that. Heineke wasn't doing that. Alex Smith wasn't doing that. Carson Wentz surely wasn't doing that. Like, it's been a long time. Like, so being able to see the upside of Sam Howell is absolutely encouraging. Yes, we'll talk about the offensive line. But Sam Howell's a big time winner. You go on the road, you're in the altitude. Everyone, some people say, oh, it is a big deal. It absolutely is a big deal. Going and playing in that altitude, something that I don't think Sam's ever had to do, especially playing in the ACC in college, playing at North Carolina. You don't go to the West Coast like that, and you surely don't go to Denver, Mile High Stadium, which is probably one of the hardest stadiums to play in. So super impressed with Sam. Like, check him off. I have no problems with Sam. If you don't think that Sam was the winner of this game, I don't know what to tell you. And Eric Bieniemy, that second half, Eric Bieniemy was cooking things up, y'all. Being able to get guys open, get guys open in space. That is what we needed from Eric Bieniemy. Guys, we scored 35 points. 35 points. Yes, Douglas. Douglas is 06. Sam Howell looked so poised. He did. This is a guy who has experience in college, not a lot in the NFL, but he made some big boy throws. Yes, Howell throws darts. I'm just saying, y'all, Sam Howell is him. Yes, there's still a long ways to go. There's some things I want to see him get better at. The first half was a little, who knows? But when you're down 21-3, what can you do for me as my quarterback? And he stood up in that pocket and he delivered some bombs. I'm telling y'all, that throw to John Bates got things going, got his confidence going. You saw it. And then having a guy like Terry McLaurin who can go up and get that. Terry McLaurin on 6 targets had 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Oh, reliable Terry. He's gonna do what he does. So I love Sam for what he did for us today. Eric Bieniemy, absolutely, play calling was a masterclass. I agree with you. And that's a big thing. They talked about, him and Vance Joseph, how far back they go. It was like a competition. These guys like grew up together. They played like Little League football together. They know each other for a long time. And it was like that fun competition. You have the offensive-minded guy and then one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the NFL. Guys, we put 35 points on the road against that defense, against Patrick Surtain, who in my opinion is the best corner in the NFL. Might be because I'm an Alabama fan, but he is very good. And yes, it all started, Commandees, I agree with you. It all started with the hit on Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas gets laid out in the end zone. Bad hit by Kareem Jackson, who is an Alabama guy. Not going to defend that hit at all. That was terrible. Seemed like it knocked him out. Nick Gates starts fight. That's what he does. Nick Gates is like the guy I'm taking with me everywhere if I need to get in a fight with somebody. Nick Gates is just, he's ready for action at all time. Sam Cosmi was pissed too. But that really got this team going. Like, I hate to say it, but the team was like on fire after that touchdown. This team was never like, oh man, we're out of it. Defense started getting there. I'm going to talk about some ballers we had on defense. And there were some guys that struggled on defense too. But I want to give a shout out to Brian Robinson too. 18 carries for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I've been saying it, this run game on this offense hasn't had that juice, that burst in the running game that we haven't had in a long time. And I want to say that run near the end of the game where he's running dudes over and Jahan Dotson throws a block on a safety, by the way, which was crazy. That showed me like Brian Robinson, once he gets going, he keeps them legs moving, puts them knees up high, totes that ball away. He's running guys over. He's doing a little spin to break out of some tackles. Brian Robinson's good in the run game. Do we still need someone with some speed, with some burst? Yeah, probably. But Brian Robinson, I was so glad to see him today. Get those 2 touchdowns. That was big. You see him on the sideline smiling. Like, he absolutely loves this. And like I said, as an Alabama guy, I love seeing B-Rob in the end zone. Outside of the run game, like, we abandoned it in the first half because we had to, because we're down so much. And so I'm not going to harp on them too much. Offensive line got better at run blocking and then also pass protecting in the second half. Pass protection in the first half was awful. I was just 100% prepared to get on this stream and rip apart the offensive line like I usually do. But second half, they shut me up. It was enough. The first half, it was, oh, Sam Howell had a big run. There's a holding. Or hands to the face. Or something like that. Like something stupid to negate these big plays that we had. It was taking away momentum. It was taking away field position. And taking away these opportunities to get things going on offense. But then second half, they finally started pass protecting. Sam was getting rid of the ball quicker too. It's a balance. The quarterback helps out the offensive line. The offensive line helps out the quarterback. So that second half correction, whatever Eric Bieniemy did, and Coach Travell Warden had them boys ready to go in the second half. Offensive line was much better. Now, like I said, let's talk about the receiving game. Terry McLaurin, he's not injured anymore, by the way. Double coverage, Terry going up and getting it, 54 yards. It isn't crazy, but still 5 catches on 6 targets. He's reliable. That touchdown was ginormous. Like, that's just what Terry does. That, F it, Terry's down there somewhere kind of throw. But it was a different throw. This was a throw as, Sam Howell actually threw him a pretty ball. It wasn't like some Hail Mary, lob that former quarterbacks, I'm not going to say any names, would just throw up there and get their players hurt. Like, Sam Howell delivered an absolute dime to Terry McLaurin. Like I said, Bates had that big one. Gibson had that big screen. B-Rob had a big screen. He was looking for Brown early and often in the game. Then Logan Thomas, like I said, that touchdown, even though he got hurt, that concussion. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, by the way. I'd like to see some more Cole Turner as well. But still, the receiving game, $299 by Sam Howell. That boy was cooking. Let me check the polls, see what y'all saying. The biggest winner of today. 54% say Sam Howell. 23% say Brian Robinson second, and then Eric Bieniemy, and then the D-line. But yeah, I'll say my biggest winner today was Sam Howell, because it's hard as a quarterback that's getting treated as a rookie. In my opinion, he should be treated as a rookie because he only started 1 game last year with absolutely no reps at starting quarterback as QB1. As a rookie going on the road like that into Denver, taking over that environment, going down that far, 21-3. This team is in the past has not been built to come back from that. And Platapomo says, in my opinion, if you can either ball out or you can't, Zach Wilson has a similar roster and has been awful. Howell has the it factor, in my opinion. And that's one thing, is like, this team has been built to where he can succeed, and he has the play caller that can do it. And I agree with you. You look at other places, Brock Purdy. I think he's it too, because he does have a good roster around him. Yes, he was the last pick in the draft. It doesn't matter where you're picked. You can either ball or you can't. If you're the first pick or you're the last pick. If you have a good team around you, if you have a good system, if you have a good play caller, you can play quarterback in this league. It will show up on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays, whatever. So in my opinion, Sam Howell, the first half, it really wasn't his fault. Sometimes he did hold him to the ball too long. He's getting better at that. That's where some of the sacks came into. But the offensive line got much better. So I have to give the offensive line credit in the second half. I got to give Eric Bieniemy credit in the second half, because he was drawing things up. The NFC East, Supreme Wisdom 7 says the NFC East is the best division of football with the most Super Bowl wins. Yeah, what do we have? 13 total. The Giants come back on the Cardinals. I was really hoping they would lose. The Cowboys look good. I know it's against Zach Wilson and the Jets, but still, the NFC East is going to be good. And that's why I was glad that, teams like the Vikings lost, because we actually need to get one of their spots in the playoffs. So other winners on the offensive line, I think I covered everyone on offense for the winner side. I want to talk about the defense. First off, St. Juice sealing the game at the very end. He gets an automatic spot in the winner circle, because he saved the game right there at the end. Was it pass interference? Who knows? But still, St. Juice, best Selly too. I love when he does that. Let's talk about this defensive line, because this defensive line has gotten, it's been hit or miss. Started bad, starting that the pass rush was not getting to Russell Wilson. He had plenty of time to throw it deep to Marvin Mims. He had all the time in the world. And the running defense has been pretty bad. It just seems like beginning of the game, and correct me if y'all don't think, if y'all disagree with me, maybe if I'm wrong on this, but beginning of games, I don't know what it is, but we cannot start hot. We wait, and we let the other team get their offense going, and then all of a sudden, second half, we come out of nowhere. Happened with the Cardinals too. Got much better in the second half, stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, getting big plays. And I'm going to talk about my boy Forbes. Y'all know I love Forbes. I got his jersey. But the defensive line in the second half really helped turn things around. Like I said, it started with Deron Payne getting to the quarterback. The whole Deron Payne drive, that one drive where he had a tackle for a loss, a sack, and a pass deflection on third down, like third and long. That was the Deron Payne drive. And then you see Montez Sweat getting to the quarterback. Then Chase Young gets a sack. And at the end of the game, you just tell they're pinning their ears back like dogs, just ready to go, and you let them off the leash. And then, boom, Sweat and Chase are meeting to the quarterback. I love when that happens. The thing in the past, though, is that Young and Sweat would usually run past the quarterback, and they would step up, they would throw it, or they would run it. So you can tell things are different on that defensive line. John Allen doing, what he does best too, getting to the quarterback. The defensive line absolutely helped turn this around. I think, that needs to be talked about when you talk about how this game finished up. Yes, the offense was much better in the second half, but the defense really helped get that offense back on the field, get Russ and them off the field. I mean, just a complete, it's like I watched two different games in the first half and the second half when you watch just the Broncos on offense. Like, he looked like the old Seattle Russ in that first half, but then he went back to, doing high knees on the airplane Russ in Denver in that second half. So, yes, I agree in the chat here. Young looked mad lazy most of the game. I feel like people are going to highlight his 1.5 sacks, but he didn't impress. I'll say, this was his first game back. So there was some, jitters. I'm sure he has to loosen up a little bit, but he did look much better. Like those last few drives, those last 3 or 4. Yeah, he had that one penalty and stuff. And I've been very critical of Chase Young, by the way. Like if you're drafted, second overall, you need to be that good. And I get it, defensive rookie of the year, whatever. He did have some bad penalties, but the end of the day, those sacks were in big moments. The end of the game there, him and Sweat in the backfield at Russ at the same time where they said he was down at the 8 or whatever instead of, it was almost intercepted by the defensive lineman. That's what I need out of my pass rush. Get to the quarterback, big third downs, you got to get stops. And they did it. So, yes, he had some penalties. It was almost costly at the end. If they would have, got that 2-point conversion, we would have went back and said, look, these penalties at the end here were huge because the game was over. But it didn't happen. So I can't, talk about ifs, ands, or buts about it. But let me check out the poll, see who the biggest winners of the day were. Y'all said Sam Howell is the biggest winner of the day, Brian Robinson second, and then Eric Bieniemy, the defensive line, tied for second. Of course, now I'll go ahead and mark it over to, I'm not done talking about winners of the day too, because I got to talk about some of my other boys. I will say that Emmanuel Forbes absolutely got beat in that one throw to Marvin Mims on the left sideline. He was running with them. He made the mistake of looking back. He should have looked at Marvin Mims' hands, watched his hands. When he goes up to get the ball, that's when you get ready to fight hands. You don't look back unless you are literally like hip and hip with them to where you can just turn and like box him out like you do in basketball. But he wasn't close enough to do that. He looked back, and that's when Mims put the Jets on a little bit, got past him. Okay. He makes up for it. He drops the interception in the game last week. He said, I'm going to get this one. I thought he dropped this one too, but you could tell he intercepted it clear as day, caught it. And if he would have caught that clean and at least gotten up clean, like he's running to the house. I forgot who was over there with him. I think it was Derek Forrest. But if he picks that up, he's gone to the end zone. And that's what I've been waiting for. Like I told y'all, I think Forbes gets like 4 or 5 interceptions this year. So there's one. We need like 3 or 4 more. And I think he has a good case for defensive rookie of the year at the end of the season. So Forbes is absolutely a winner as well. Got beat early. I thought he was going to be a loser this game. But it didn't happen. He came back, got that interception, which was monumental. Definitely helped out at the end as well. So big shout out to him. The secondary, Cam Curl made a big play at the end as well. Percy Butler on that one deep touchdown to Marvin Mims. I don't know what went wrong with Percy Butler and Derek Forrest. It looked like Forrest was like in man. Everyone else was in zone. And Percy Butler was kind of looking at him at the end of the play like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? So I'll go back and look at that. But other than that, defense bounced back. Second half was flawless. Just chef's kiss from the defense. First half was ugly. Cannot do that again. We have to start better in these games. We have to start like we finished, like on fire, ready to get things going. We can't go into these games, especially against the Bills next week, where we're going to have to get more of these turnovers. We're going to have to get, more of these sacks against Josh Allen. We cannot go into that game. I don't care if it's at home, if it's on Mars, if it's in Buffalo. I don't care. We have to start that game on fire. And maybe we go 3-0. Who knows? We'll talk about that. Let's talk about some losers for the game. Because, yes, the game was good. Yes, we got the win. But there was some things that were very concerning. Biggest losers today. And I'll put a good one in there. Cameron Cheeseman, long snapper. Cody Barton, linebacker. And then Kareem Jackson just had that ugly, dirty hit on Logan Thomas that probably knocked him out. He's probably going to be out for the next game because that's a pretty bad concussion. He got ejected, which is good. You don't see that happening much ever in the NFL. Like, yes, that's a college thing, which it seems like it's very loose these days. Like, everything's targeting in college now. But I can't remember the last time a player has been ejected in the NFL for targeting. But it was bad. Like, the way he, projectiled himself up. He didn't like lower shoulder. He didn't get in there or anything like that. He went straight at him. Kareem Jackson, that was bad. So, like, in my opinion, he was the biggest loser today, like actual loser for that hit. Cheeseman is actively distracting from the team, and long snapper should not be the highlight week to week when it comes to difference makers on his team. Yeah, I mean, Sundberg was a highlight of a team because of all the great stuff he was doing off the field, and he was just a really good guy. We went from that to this. Like, how do you just forget to snap a ball? Like, he's not even like the center. He's not snapping every play. It's just on special teams, field goals and punts. That's the only time you were on the field, Cameron Cheeseman. And Ron talked about it, said he switched up some snap or something like that. I don't know if they asked him to do that or if he did it himself. Something about his snap was off. He had to change it, and it's been bad. If we would have lost this game by a field goal, that would have went back to that first field goal. That was ugly, by the way. And that wasn't Sly's fault. Like, yeah, the one ugly one, I think it was the third one that he kicked was ugly, and that was his fault. But that first one was not his fault. That was a terrible snap. I don't even know how he got that kick away. Like, he just needed to hit it as fast as he could. How do you just forget to snap a ball as a long snapper? I don't get it. And yeah, it's absolutely something that Ron needs to correct. It's something that he's noticed in camp. It's something he noticed in preseason, and yet they have not addressed it. Like, how long do you need to fix that? Like, your one job at practice every day is long snapping. You're not fielding punts. You're not doing like catching drills. Like, you need to learn to snap that ball, because at some point in this season, it's going to come down to a game-winning field goal. And the last thing I want to think about is, man, I hope that Cameron Cheeseman can get this thing clean so we actually have a chance of kicking it. That's not what you should be worried about. Honestly, why has Ron kept Cheeseman this long? I don't know. He said he's actively working on it. Like I said, I don't know what that looks like. Like, is he seeing like a psychiatrist or something? Like, is it a mental thing? I don't know. But still, that's bad. And another loser of the game, Cody Barton. I mean, for a guy that I had high hopes for, Cody Barton came over from Seattle. You know, first half of the season for them, he was bad. Second half, he was really good. They wanted to keep him. He looked lost on the field today. There was a lot of times, all these crossers, all these, whether it's a wide receiver or tight end, anything comes across the middle to Cody Barton, he has no chance. Anything speed-wise, even a fast like tight end. Like I said, it doesn't even have to be like some slot receiver. He was getting burnt by tight ends across the middle of the field. Cody Barton looked like he had no business being out there. Run stopping, he wasn't that good. Getting to the quarterback, Like, I don't know. I need to see a lot more out of Cody Barton. Or I have us drafting a linebacker in the first 3 rounds again. Like, we need some linebacker help. Jamin Davis was big. He had that fumble. I don't think Jamin Davis gets enough credit, and I think it's because he was taken in the first round. But there are a lot of plays. If you just watch Jamin Davis, he hustles. He finishes plays. And that showed on that fumble where he hit Russ. You could have let him go out of bounds. You could have just been like, oh, whatever, play's over. No, he hustled over there to the sideline, got there, caused a fumble. And that's what I need out of Jamin. Like, be better in coverage, be good in run stopping, get to the quarterback when you need to, but just hustle, get to the ball, like finish plays for us. And Cody Barton was the complete opposite of that. Let me check out the polls. A lot of y'all say Cam Cheeseman's the biggest loser, even over Kareem Jackson. That's how you know he was bad today. And then I had 7% say Cody Barton. But I just feel like the two things that we as fans have had biggest concerns over this offseason and the preseason were the offensive line and the linebacker group. And it seems like every game at some point for a long time, it's still a concern. The offensive line getting penalties. You know, Charles Leno and Wiley, speed guys, just go right past them. And I know Sam holds the ball a little bit, but at the same time, you've got to help out your young quarterback who's still learning this offense, still going through his progression, still, getting things going. Y'all are veteran tackles, and y'all are getting beat by guys who aren't going to be in the league. Like Randy Gregory, like I said, I didn't even know he was still in the league. And he looked like he was back at the Dallas Cowboys against us for that first half. So I think that the offensive line will get better as the season goes, but it needs to hurry up. And then the linebacker group, I just don't know about Cody Barton. I haven't seen anything so far out of him. He looked good in camp, but it just hasn't translated to the field much on Sundays. Our tight ends actually had a collective good game. I agree. Like I said, Logan Thomas got things going. Bates had that big catch on the sideline with Sam Howell, and then Cole Turner had some big catches too, like when we needed him to. I do want to see some more Cole Turner reps. I think I've seen enough Cole Turner to say that he has some juice to him in the receiving game. And he did in Nevada. He had the most touchdowns by any tight end in all of college football in Nevada. I think it was 10. Double check for me. But I think, especially if Logan Thomas is hurt next week, we're going to see some more Cole Turner coming up. But overall, I'm excited to talk about some grades. Like I said, I'm going to go back and rewatch this tape and come back on this tomorrow on the stream and talk about grades for certain players, certain position groups. So drop in the chats which players, what position groups you want me to talk about tomorrow, and go back and really watch them and give them some grades. But it's a completely different game, first half to second half. Was not expecting that second half at all. Like I said, like besides their Kirk Cousins game, the you like that game, this team has never had a comeback like that I can remember. This team has not been built to come back from stuff like that. And I think Eric Bieniemy gets a ton of credit. Any grades for Heineke? No. He's probably going to start for Atlanta at some point because Desmond Ridder sucks. Not that he's any better. But Eric Bieniemy is absolutely going to be a guy I grade tomorrow because the play calling was flawless. And then you look over at the Chiefs, who have had some struggles with the play calling. I'm not going to say, it's because of him, but it's not a coincidence in my opinion. I think Eric Bieniemy had a phenomenal game. That Cardinals game was weird. I was there. That storm that hit, like the rain was awful in the third quarter, like right at halftime of the third quarter. It was just a weird feeling game. This felt like more of like, let's settle in, let's get our identity. We can spread the ball out. We were forced to throw the ball early, which didn't really work too much. And then it finally did. Howell only threw it 30 times in the first half, but only 9 times in the second half. So I think that Eric Bieniemy deserves a lot more credit than, he's going to be getting lately. Everyone's going to talk about, what's on the field, but talk about the Chiefs' struggles, talk about Eric Bieniemy really cooking up that second half. Final on the poll here, biggest loser of the game, Cam Cheeseman at 50%. Hopefully they get that going. Kareem Jackson, 43% for that hit on Logan Thomas, which was just outrageous, by the way. But I appreciate y'all coming through the chat as always. Always a fun time talking on this stream. Like I said, I will be back tomorrow with some grades. So follow me on Twitter at Josh Taylor FB for some more content for Washington. It's going to be a crazy year. If anything's like this, the first 2 games of the season, if the rest of the season is anything like this, like buckle up. I don't know how we made it through that game. I like that. That was as crazy of a turnaround of a game I can remember in a very long time. Appreciate y'all stopping by here, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow here on Bleacher Report. Peace. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to participate in all of your fantasy contests, whether it's the NFL, MLB, PGA Golf, NBA, even college football. This user-friendly app, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. And my favorite part is that when you sign up in your first deposit and you use my promo code JTFB, they will double your first deposit up to $100. Now, how does it work? You pick lower or higher on stat projections that Underdog Fantasy gives you, whether it's passing yards, rebounds, points, you name it. And for each selection, say you want to select 3 people or 4 people, your odds go up based off of how many you select. My favorite feature, however, is sometimes I want to make 4 selections and I'm not feeling too confident in all of them. I love taking advantage of the pick'em insurance to where if I miss 1 pick in my contest, I still get paid out on lower odds. So sign up today, download the app, and use my promo code JTFB to get up to $100 in your first deposit.